The Cornwall Armouries held a job fair this weekend as people came from near and far to see the employment opportunities that exist within the Cornwall branch.
At the Armouries today, you have an opportunity to see the roots of the regiment by starting with the museum and the display of the equipment and weapons that were used throughout the various wars in the history of the regiment. Then you can go over to an area where you get to see the weapons that we use today. And then from there, if you're so inclined, you can go try on the equipment, including the rucksack or the big backpack, the clothing, and if you want, you can put on the camouflage paint as well. From there, we actually have our firearms simulator open, and people can go in there and fire the weapons, but there's no bullets. It's compressed gas that's used to give the feeling of firing the guns. Also, we're going to be giving a demonstration of our young soldiers' skills that they learn here. And one of the key ones for employers is the ability to do problem solving. So you can imagine somebody comes to you with something that needs to be worked on. Your job is to identify the opportunities and using the resources that you have on hand, make a plan and then lead your team through solving that problem.
We went out to the backyard of the Armouries today and we did what's called a section attack. Basically that's the fundamental thing that infantry soldiers train for. It's a way for us to do our jobs essentially. It's how we close with and destroy the enemy. Okay, because at the end of the day, there are threats out in environments that we operate in, and we need to be able to deal with those threats effectively. So the way it works is we operate in sections of roughly 8 people, 8 soldiers for a dismounted section. And those sections have 2 machine guns and the rest are riflemen with various armaments. And we have an organized way of moving towards what we call contact, which is the direction we get attacked from. And through organizing command and control and practicing our drills, we can effectively move towards the enemy while engaging them, keeping their head down so that they can't fire back at us, and then take the objective and make sure that we're safe and can carry on with our operations. Anytime you operate in a section or any kind of element within the Army, it's going to come down to teamwork, and a big thing of that is communication. Okay, if we're in a firefight, it's going to be very loud. When guns are going off, left, right, and center, you're not going to be able to hear most of the time. So we need to be able to effectively communicate with each other loudly but clearly and concisely, so we can pass on the word of command and any information that's vital to dealing with the threat quickly and effectively. There's other things when it comes to teamwork that play into that, just knowing the people you're working with, knowing what you need to do, what the person next to you is going to be doing, and how the greater picture kind of all intermeshes so that you can actually achieve your objective. It's definitely very nice to do it in kind of a public context because, like you said, a lot of people don't see this. This is the stuff that typically is reserved for behind the scenes. We practice on bases, out in training fields where there isn't any media, there's nobody there to see us, and then we put it into actual application in situations where we're at war potentially. So, you know, the average person won't necessarily see that, and so they don't necessarily get a full grasp of what our job entails. But having just a practice show like this, where it's in a controlled environment, but we're still getting good training value out of it, and everybody can see that, I think it kind of solidifies in the public mind just what this job actually means.
We've had a number of people through the building already. As a matter of fact, right now we have a mother and her 2 sons that are actually looking at joining as a family. She's a mental health expert in her 40s, and the 2 boys are 16 and 17. And the more she heard about the benefits and opportunities, herself wants to join in. The benefits of joining are actually quite exhaustive. First of all, the education is quite a popular one. So when you're a soldier in the reserves, you have access to $2,000 a year to go towards your post-secondary education. And on top of that, with the guaranteed employment that you get through the year, most students are able to finish with little to no student debt at the end of their education. Also, there's the travel benefits. So with the military having service aircraft that look after our missions overseas, there's opportunities to get flights to Europe and other parts of the world for free. On top of that, we're part of a program where you can get resort stays, hotel stays at extremely discounted rates. So for example, my family and I were able to go to Mexico, 5-star hotel for $7 a night for a week. Like, it's incredible. And it's all because of the fact that a lot of companies in Canada and throughout the NATO community are giving those opportunities back to soldiers who take the time to serve their country.